As long as the coffee's organic and you can verify that it's free of a lot of mold, then yeah, it actually is pretty decent for you. My best advice for breakfast is make sure you have it at the same time every day. Proteins, vegetables. So usually your leftovers from dinner. That's my best advice for that. Anything with acne, you got to check the gut, and you need to look at hormonal balance as well. Gut and hormones are pretty much right in line. But yeah, it's always an internal problem, not an external. Gallbladder issues always have to stem with hormonal issues. That's why your girlfriend's needed to be removed. But there's a very quick way that I use with patients to get rid of any type of gallstones. I myself went through IBS and I tried castor oil packs, wasn't effective, but castor oil packs was really effective for liver issues. So castor oil packs for IBS, not so much. Apple cider vinegar, digestive enzymes, and also hydrochloric acid. So betaine hydrochloric acid is really good for that. A direct connection, not necessarily. Indirectly, yes, because you're affecting the diaphragm, and that'll create diaphragmatic spasms and loosening and all that stuff. So indirectly, yes. Any practitioner that does NET or EFT, Callahan's technique, all that kind of stuff will help with emotional release. Even those that have been trained in TBM and natural healing seminar techniques. I'm not a fan of cool sculpting. I'm more of a fan of trying to get to the cause and source of the problem, which is not a deficiency in cooling yourself. Overall, I'm not a fan of microwaves just because it does create an imbalance in the electron orbitals, changes the electron spin. It's more of the quantum level, but that really affects your overall food performance. Digestion begins in the oral cavity, and if you don't have proper oral health, you're not going to have a proper digestive tract, and it stimulates the entire GI tract. So if your oral health is poor, the rest of your GI tract is going to function poorly. Colonics are decent. Yeah, you just got to be careful that it doesn't strip off too much of the mucosal lining, because you do need that. Coffee enemas, I use them all the time, especially with our chronically ill patients. Very effective, saved a lot of lives. Daylight saving wrecks your circadian rhythms. Just wrecks it. So that's why I see a lot of patients come in around daylight savings time. I think you're referring to salt therapy, and by salt therapy or halotherapy, what you're doing is you're breathing in salts, and basically what you're doing is you're balancing out your pH levels, because most salts are alkalizing, so you're balancing out your pH levels. I'm not a fan of long-term bioidentical hormones. You got to get to the root cause of the issue, which is not necessarily hormones. It's usually the start or the end part. That's what happens with hormones. Dr. Sherry Tempany is one of the leading resources on vaccinations. There's also different documentaries like The Truth About Vaccines and all that stuff. So do your research there. Any type of inflammation always has a chronic stress as a causative factor. So you got to address the stressor, identify it first, and then know what to do with that. You should be working with a professional on this, just because your body's needs are going to need to be determined according to what's going on, rather than just giving a general recommendation of what you need. Yeah, like I said before, my thoughts on the flu shot is I only get it if I want to get the flu, and you proved my point. Every time you get it, you get sick. Typically there's some type of allergy going on that you need to get addressed. I would recommend you seeing your optometrist and then seeing what they have to say about a possible allergy. Working with somebody that does neuro-emotional technique is going to help you a lot. I worked with a lot of people who have agoraphobia, and we got them out of it fairly quickly. If you go to my podcast, one of the first 2 or 3 episodes, go look it up. I talk specifically about leptin resistance. I'll actually do another podcast on it as well, but it's too long for me to say here. Therapeutic dosage is anywhere between 300 milligrams to 700 milligrams, upwards to 1,000 milligrams. We use the 4R technique: remove, replace, re-inoculate, and repair, to specifically fix intestinal dysbiosis. And you got to use the 4Rs to get it back to functioning to normal. Root canals, not a fan of. There's other effective ways. Mouth guards, not a fan of. Use an NTI instead of a mouth guard if you're looking at TMJ stuff. Yes, I do. Had many patients go through Crohn's, no longer there. First, you got to identify which neurotransmitters are out of balance. So I either use a lab test or use questionnaires, and then once I determine from that, then we can know what we need to do to get it back into balance. But the fix is always going to be dependent upon what's out of balance. So sorry, I can't give you a more concrete answer on that. Yeah, typically, most humans, we can't digest a lot of the cellulose. We just don't have the enzymes for that. If you can pre-digest it using like enzymes or mashing it up and grinding it, that's the best. From what I've seen with patients who have ADD, ADHD, dopamine is one of the major neurotransmitters that's out of balance. So using stuff that are, like L-Dopa, which is dopamine precursors, really helps. I'm a big fan of using everything in moderation, but as a whole, we don't necessarily, as humans, we don't necessarily do good with grains as a whole. But can you do good? Possibly. This sounds exactly like your thyroid needs some help. So you got to get your thyroid back into order, because it's telltale signs your thyroid needs help. This sounds exactly like your thyroid needs some help. So you got to get your thyroid back into order, because it's telltale signs your thyroid needs help. PEMF and infrared therapies and red light therapies like the Juve. You can get the Juve in the link in my bio. PEMF, I like the BioBalance. So that's why. This is typically due to a neuroemotional complex. Maybe you had something surrounding chicken or something like that, and it's just an emotional response to the chicken. So that's typically the reason why you get the gag reflex towards that. Aerobic exercises, or what's known as cardios, tend to do better more towards the morning. If you're doing more anaerobic or resistance training, heavier strength training, that's more towards the afternoon, between the hours about 3 and 5 p.m. Most of the studies say no, but from an energetic perspective, it does a lot. There's a lot of resonant frequencies that come out of it that really help and train your body to perform better. One of the major causes is stress, intestinal dysbiosis, and an increase in zonulin due to inflammation and also stress levels. So you got to get that under control to balance out and get the gluten sensitive again. One word to this: ego. Two of my favorites for the fall flu season is a product called Truth, and the other one is called Defend. This works really good for your immune system. It's okay. I like the Yonder bars actually better. I feel that the collagen powder that they use, or collagen that they use, is a lot cleaner. It's reacted better with my body as well, so I like that one better. Have fun, stay hydrated, and if you're going to some crazy place, you may need some type of parasitic intervention. If you need that, message me. Yeah, well, it's a marketing thing. I've used it, but I don't agree with the idea behind it. But sometimes you got to talk people's language. I'm never one for a singular particular diet. Eat what's in season, eat what's grown locally. So, that's the best things for pregnancy, and making sure that you got a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. You got to get adjusted for this one. That's my best advice. And also, you may need some B complex along with that. Yeah, if they're a good chiropractor, that should be their area of expertise. But if you don't get a good one, then possibly not. I will discuss this one because this is very important. I will discuss this one way further in one of my upcoming podcasts, so I'll keep you guys posted on this one. Omega-3s, lots of good protein, stay hydrated, and a full complex of B vitamins. Lots of water. D-mannose is one of my favorites. You also got to look at arginine as well, and you got to look at your gut function, because that's where it all stems from. If you've just been recently diagnosed with Hashimoto's, you gotta work with a professional on this. Don't try to do this on your own. It's because it's so different. The roadmap to where you need to be as far as health is going to be different than the next person. So there's no cookie cutter approach. Thank you everybody for playing today's Q&A. Podcast is queued up for tomorrow. Which nutritional supplements do I need? You guys gotta get on it. It's a really great episode. Let me know your thoughts. And you guys have given me great ideas as far as giveaways. So look out in the next week or so. We're gonna start some giveaways. I got some pretty cool stuff for the giveaways and contests and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. Aloha.